This is a story of a man who lives his truth. It is a classic tale, with setbacks and triumphs, one with lessons for us all. Peter Barry Kessler and his brothers grew up in Chicago. When Peter was a teenager, his dear mother Pauline died. Peter and David's daughter Perry is named in her memory. Peter's father, Phil, married Linda, who raised the family of brothers, Alan, Peter, Scott, and Jordan.
By the time I was studying for my bar mitzvah, the combination of being up on the bima and having a teachable moment, using my voice, having my connection to Judaism, really put all of the pieces together.
The path he took to his eventual career was a circuitous one: the jewelry business, direct marketing, and even theater. With youthful zeal, Peter decided to hone his theatrical skills at Chicago's famous comedy club, Second City. There could be no better training ground.
I did some training at Second City in Chicago. I did stand-up. I loved it. I always wanted to be an actor. I always wanted to be, involved in movies and theater.
But I always felt he had really no talent for this kind of performance, although he has great personality.
And I think if I could sing, I wouldn't be a rabbi. I'd be in Hollywood.
No, even as a little boy, when he would participate in drama productions at the JCC, it was terrible. It was terrible.
At the end of the day, when I was either in the jewelry business or the envelope business or the marketing business or anything else I was doing, I was making money, but I wasn't making the world a better place. When you're 24 and your friends are in their 20s and 30s and get sick and die and there's nothing to save them, it changes you. I started doing funerals. And in the early days of AIDS, rabbis didn't do funerals for people who died of AIDS. Someone had to honor them by burying them. And that's what I did. I became a different person.
We were at a gay rally in Grant Park in Chicago, or Lincoln Park it was.
Lincoln Park, yeah.
And there were thousands and thousands of people. And we had been through all of the grief that these young people went through, whose parents had disavowed them. We had gone to the funerals of the suicides. We were grief-stricken at these occasions. And Peter was a keynote speaker at this, and there were thousands there, and I'll never forget it. And during the course of his rally, and he says, and my parents are here, and they support me, and there they are.
Peter felt it was time to seek rabbinic ordination.
But for heaven's sake, to take care of people who had no one became the essential reason why I had to become a rabbi. And certainly caught the eye of HUC, of Hebrew Union College, and they said, look, you need to become a rabbi. And I said, I'll become a rabbi, I want to become a rabbi, but you're not going to let me in. And they said, well, you certainly can't talk about your personal life. And I said, but that's one of the main reasons I want to become a rabbi. I would never lie about who I was. And I had my interview and I was rejected from rabbinical school. During that year, I became very proactive, and I got very involved with the Central Conference of American Rabbis and helped to change their bylaws to allow openly gay men and women to become part of the CCAR. And the following year, I applied again. And I applied and I was accepted.
Seminary studies began at the Hebrew Union College in Jerusalem. After several years of study, Rabbi Peter Kessler was ordained. The first hurdle toward fulfilling his dream had been overcome.
This is my favorite biblical quote. The translation is, "The stone that the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone." It talks about rejection and about being able to become something even when others tell you that it can't happen.
And honestly, I was the last person placed when I was ordained. No one wanted to take a chance on me because I was who I was. And the senior rabbi at Baltimore Hebrew, Rex Perlmeter, said, "You're coming with me, and they will love you, and you'll see it won't be an issue."
It was the new millennium, and Temple Ohev Sholom sought a new religious leader for its historic congregation.
Well, I think what we were looking for at that time was somebody that wanted to stay in Harrisburg. My draw to him was his honesty, his integrity, and his sense of humor. I think the only problem that the community had was the non-Jewish religious right people. And they came for about 4 weeks. There were maybe 2 or 3 of them. The news never picked it up. Our congregants came, walked in, there was no exchange of anything. They saw there wasn't a problem, and they left.
Temple Ohev Sholom reaffirmed the principle engraved on its facade. "My house shall be called a house of prayer for all peoples." Rabbi Kessler settled into his new home, his new congregation, and began his work.
I teach so many classes, and I love teaching classes. I have a monthly book review class that I teach at Temple. I have a monthly class that we call PEP. I teach a lunch and learn class once a month, which are mostly older people, which I adore. I now teach all the conversion classes at the Temple, and of course there's Hebrew High, and there's Confirmation, and there's the Bar and Bat Mitzvah kids who come in for their lessons. So there's a lot to teach. One of the most important parts of my rabbinate is being with my congregational family at their most difficult times. Lillian Rappaport helped me fall in love with Harrisburg. Lillian Rappaport told me, "You're coming here not only to be the rabbi of Ohev Sholom, you're coming here to be one of our community rabbis."
During the past 10 years, Rabbi Kessler not only has served his congregation, but he has had a significant impact on many institutions in the Harrisburg Jewish community. He now serves as chair of the Rabbinic Council of the Jewish Federation of Greater Harrisburg.
I just feel very lucky to have Peter in our lives and to have Perry in our lives, and I think the congregation is very lucky to have him. And I know rabbis have all kinds of talents, and there are all different kinds of rabbis, but this is a good guy.
I want to thank the congregation for welcoming us so warmly and embracing us, and I want to thank the Harrisburg community. I think we feel very a part of this community since day one. I would venture, if everybody looked around, there would be folks here from all, from all segments of the Harrisburg Jewish community. And I think if this event were taking place in a larger city, that wouldn't be the case. And I think both Peter and I feel very enriched and think Perry's life is enriched because of that. So I just want to say thank you. And we're looking forward to many, many more years here in this wonderful community.
The stone that the builder refused will always be the head cornerstone. Sing it, brother. The stone that the builder refused will always be the head cornerstone. You're a builder, baby. Here I am, a stone. Don't you pick and refuse, 'cause the things people refuse are the things they should use. Do you hear me? Hear what I say? Stone that the